Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. After a week of holiday, then we come back today to look at chapter 5. This chapter is the longest. It's the longest chapter in this book. We have to study here companies and corporations. It's the longest chapter in which we have to focus and we have to give some attention. We have to study well and we have to be prepared. We have to study corporation, the meaning, definition, the concept. We will study companies, the types of companies. We have to look at different types of legal entities. This would take maybe 2-3 weeks. Most likely it would take 3 weeks to finish this chapter. And the last chapter will be bankruptcy, which we have to see after 3 weeks. So as you can see that we have to understand at the beginning, what does it mean corporation? I don't know if you have been studying something like this or not. At least corporation is one type of companies. Companies, we have many types. One of them is corporation, which is the largest in size. Corporation is an entity, kayan, entity. But this is the largest in size, the biggest type of companies. We can define corporation, as you can see here, look at it. We can define it as legal entity which has separate legal identity from its members. One entity having separate legal identity. Imagine yourself how many students we have, 20. Imagine that you would like to have your own company. You want to have a corporation. You can be the members. You can be the shareholders, musahimin. But then the company itself or the corporation itself will be a new entity. So if we have 50 or 200 shareholders, then the company will be extra, a new person, a new entity. Fine? Are you listening to me there? Good. Now, such corporation can make activities like a human being. It would have rights and obligations. You as a human being, you can act. You can act in business. You can act in civil life. You can have many activities. You can buy, you can sell. You can hire, you can sue. You can do whatever you like. You have the freedom and you have the latitude to interact with other people. The same thing with the corporation would have rights and obligations in which the corporation can have the ability to sue and be sued. Sue, what does it mean? Sue? So company or the corporation can sue like you. It can have the ability to hold assets in its own name. Company, corporation can hold assets in its own name. The ability to hire agent, the ability to sign contract. It will not be able to sign physically, but the corporation would have somebody, and that person would be most likely senior member, senior employee in the corporation, and he or she would be able to sign on behalf of the corporation. At the same time, the corporation would have the ability here to make bylaw. What's a bylaw? What does it mean, bylaw? We have the law and we have the bylaw. What's the difference between them? Who makes the law? Are you okay? Do you have any exam today?
Yes.
What time? Oh, just come out of the exam. Was it difficult or was it easy? So difficult. What subject was it? MIS. Okay. Well, you have to wake up now. You just passed the exam. It doesn't matter what you have. Now you have a new subject and you have to focus on it. And this is my advice for you. Just do not think too much about what you had in the past. Think about now. Think about the future. Even if you don't pass, even if you fail in any exam, this will not be the end. No, you can do it again, you can pass. But then you have to focus on this subject to be able to pass it. You don't have to think about the exam you just passed a few hours ago.
Law, maybe the law of the country, but by law, maybe the internal law, not affected in the law of the country.
Yes, commercial law. We have been studying for the past few weeks commercial law. And I said before that we have many branches of law. Now this law is made by the parliament, by the state. But bylaw is the internal system in any institute, in any company. Each company would have its own bylaw, which is called internal system. Look at this university now. It has its own internal system, its bylaw. Any company, any institute has its own bylaw, which is made by members, made by the management committee. And this bylaw should not conflict with the law. The bylaw, the internal system, has to be consistent with the law in the country. Fine? Well, it's not fine for me. You have to wake up, come on. It's not difficult, it's easy, but I think you're still under the stress of the exam. Alright. Well, you should not sleep in the class. No, you should not. You can sleep once you go home. In the class you have to be awake. I mean, if you once you look at the marks later on your marks, you will be surprised. They're not good. They're not good because you're not listening sometimes well. Well, I mean, not all of them. Some of them excellent, some are not. But listen to me and try to understand. You do, Haneen. Try to understand what I'm saying because you still have time to study and to sleep. When the class, you have to wake up. In addition to the definition we just had for corporation, we have an English scholar called Stuart Hyde. He defined the company or the corporation as collection of individuals like you. Collection of individuals, you, 20, 10, 50, 500 people, collection of individuals united in one body. And this body is the company, is the corporation. So all of you are united as members, as individuals in one body, one person, a new person. By this new person, this new body would have the latitude, the space, the ability to act like any individual in the society. Corporation has the capacity to act in several respects like individuals. They can act. How can you imagine a company can act? What kind of activities a company can do? Legal? Like what? What types of activities corporations can undertake? فاهمين ولا لا؟ أكيد؟ I doubt it. إيش الأشياء؟ نعم. Yes. So the company can sue, they can buy, it can hire, it can hold assets, it can have a privilege, immunities. Company can have many activities like I can, like you can, like any one of us. We can have activities. We can buy, we can hire. You can imagine yourself making a transactions. The company can make a transactions the same like you. Same. Taking and granting property. يعني نأخذ ملكية ونعطي ملكية. And here, contracting obligation. What does it mean? Contracting obligations. If I sign a contract and this is the contract I signed, then by this contract I would have some obligations. في التزامات عقدية. Obligations. I would have to do something. I would have to take an action. I would have the responsibility. So being sued, the same thing like we had said in the previous slide, enjoying privilege and immunities. I can enjoy immunity. Immunity حصانة. Privilege, امتياز. Like a human being, you can have a position sometimes in which you will be able to exercise privilege and immunities. Companies, some of them so rich, have lots of money. Some companies, some corporations, they have the capital, the budget, which is even more than the budget of one state or two states. Some companies make a profit, annually profit, more than the budget of one state, one country. So imagine such companies, some of them even exercise political rights, and they have some privilege and immunities, such companies. And even they can exercise political rights. Some companies nowadays, multinational companies, corporation, well, because when we talk about corporation, we mean the largest in size. Some of them are multinational. They can work in Palestine, in Egypt, in Syria, in London, in many places at the same time. Like, for example, talking about Microsoft Word, Mercedes company, Dell computer. Those are multinational. They have branches everywhere. Such companies, they have even political rights. They can exist in many places, in many countries. They have respect. They have fictitious personality. Fictitious معنوي personality. Now someone would ask the question again here at the end, if corporation would have such activities, where these activities come from? Do they come from the company itself? Okay, if yes, where this company gets such activities? How a company, which is not a human being, does not have a soul, does not have a flesh, will be able to act like a human being?
Well, in this case, corporations, the decisions are mainly made by the board of directors, or maybe by shareholders who have the right to make decision or to give a say in something.
Okay, look at this here. Can you read it? What's your name again?
Dalia.
Dalia.
This is completed according to the design of its institution, or the powers conferred upon it, either at the time of its creation or at any subsequent period of its existence.
So this power of the company, this authority of the company, would be given to it at the time of its creation. When we establish it, at that time, this company, this corporation would have the power. And this power would come from you as members, from shareholders. Because we invest the money, then we here empower. We can empower this company to act. So this company, this corporation would act on behalf of all of us, because we have made it. We have empowered it to act on our behalf. And even sometimes this power can confer upon it at a later stage, later on, by even those people, those shareholders would give it the power to act. In addition to this, the corporation would be able to act in accordance with the law and its own design. We look at the design. What type of company? You're going to be surprised later on that to see that we have maybe more than 10 types of companies. Okay, what the difference between them? We have to look at the liability. We have to look at the design, the shape, the money invested, shareholders. All these points will affect the company and the power of this company. See, when I say company, sometimes here I do mean corporation, because corporation is a company. Corporation is a company, but it's the biggest in size. Now, if we have 10 types or 12 types, many of them, of corporations and companies, then we'll have to distinguish between all these types by looking at liability. They are not having the same liability. We're going to study this later on. We have to look at the meaning of liability and why some companies have limited and some of them have unlimited liabilities. Okay? Fine. Can we move on now? How many types of corporations do we have? Basically, we have 3 types. Or mainly, we have 3 types of corporations. The one we mean, the one we focus on, which is our attention has to be focused on exactly, is business. It's business corporation. Business corporation. The second type is called municipal corporation, and the third is governmental corporation. We have to give attention all the time to the first type because this is our study. This is our subject. Business corporation, in which we find investors, entrepreneurs, people who invest money, people who want to make money, to make a profit. They invest it in such type. This is what we call it for-profit corporation. Corporation who making a profit, making money. Because the second type, it's non-profit. So this one is profit, and this second type is non-profit corporation. So the first type, in which investors here and entrepreneurs often join here, often form joint stock companies. Joint stock company. شركة مساهم له أسهم. And then by doing this, by forming such joint stock company, this would facilitate the ability of the individuals to invest money. Because as an individual, if I cannot myself invest money to have a big company, because I know some companies would cost millions of pounds, but for me as a person, I will not be able to make it. Then we need hundreds of people, thousands of people. Look how many companies we have in Palestine here. Hundreds of companies. How many of them are corporations? Few. Like Jawal company, it's a corporation. Bank of Palestine, it's a corporation. But how many shareholders they have? Thousands of shareholders. Some can be £1,000 or dinar. Others can be 20, 50, 100,000 dinars to invest money. So all that money, when it's added together, would make a huge amount of money. This would make the whole budget for this bank, for this institute, for this corporation, so to conduct business. All of us can be joined together to conduct business, to make money, because individually we cannot make it. Each amount of money we have will not be enough, will be little. Then we have to invest more money to be able to make more profit. And this type is more prevalent. What's prevalent? Widespread. It's the most common. أكثر انتشارا في العالم. It's the most common, widespread of corporation, because we have 1, 2, 3 types. But number one is the widespread type of corporations, and it's called business corporation. And even sometimes when we say business corporation, so even when we say corporation, we mean business corporation. So in the future, next time or next week, when I say corporation, I would mean business corporation. The second type is municipal corporation. Can you read it? Sorry.
Corporation may also be formed for local government, political, religious, and purpose, not profit.
Yes, and this is the second type. It's non-for-profit. Non-for-profit does not make a profit, does not make money. The intention here to help, to educate, to support people. We have different intentions, and one of them can be education, can be politics, it can be health, it can be many times, it can be religion. Those organizations, call them corporations, but they're not making money. Those are non-for-profit corporations. What we call them municipal. We have many of them in many countries. We have in Palestine even here. We have some of them. هي شبيهة بالمؤسسات الأهلية, NGOs, most likely, who are not making money for themselves, who are making money for the society, who are making a profit for many people, even though they employ people. They have different employees, and they have money, and they have budget, but this is not to make a profit. There is no income coming back for the shareholders. And even here, there is no shareholders, by the way. Here we call them shareholders. Here what they call them members. I can be a member in one of such non-profit corporations, but I will not call myself shareholders because I do not invest money here. I invest in my efforts. I can help, I can work, I can teach. The third, last time, go on.
Governmental owned corporation for government grant.
Sometimes, even not individuals, sometimes we have public corporations. I mean, not public in terms of public because we have public and private. We look at them next time. But we have government-owned corporations. These corporations are made, or these companies are made for a specific purpose, for the government. And we did have some companies, like in Palestine, we had in the past, Bigdar. You know Bigdar company? Bigdar. It's a company was working in Palestine here, and this company was for the government. It was a governmental company. Was working for a governmental program to build homes, to build bridges, to manufacture things. So it was established by the government for its special own program, because sometimes such companies, such corporations will do some activities in which individuals in a society will not be able to make. Well, despite that we have some corporations, they have more money than any state. Some corporations, they have money and budget more than 2-3 countries. But sometimes here, because of political reason, then the state itself would have its own companies. Like when we say about the oil, we have some countries in the Gulf and even in Africa, they have oil, they have gas, but they cannot dig to get the oil out from the earth. So what they do, they have partners, companies from the West. But now the state itself would have its own company, not individuals, most likely the state, because this is public interest. It concerned with public interest, maslaha amma, and it's concerned with return money, revenue, which goes for the people, for the society, not for individuals. So such programs can be done by government-owned corporations. Okay. Now we have to go back to the same point, which is the only type we have to focus on all the time. We have to keep in mind when we say corporation, we mean modern business corporation. And this is the dominant type. This is dominant, the common, the widespread, the prevalent type of corporation. Now this has some features, some characteristics. في مزايا، في خصال. These characteristics here, as you can see them, 4. Number 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 1, each corporation would have its own legal personality. What does it mean? When we say that this company, this corporation, has its own legal personality. Does it have name? Does it have name, the company? Yes, why not? I have name and the company can have a name. I can have a location, house, residence, and the company can have a location. What do we mean by having legal personality? Jada.
Maybe obligations, commitments, and liabilities towards law, environment, society, etc.
Yeah.
Legal system.
We have legal personality in which you said that we have shareholders. Yes? And every shareholder will have his own personality. I can have my personality separate from yours. The company and the corporation would have its own independent, separate, legal personality. So the company can act in its own name. The company can commit itself. It can do some activities. Well, not each time would say, well, if we make a contract, would it be in the name of the shareholders? No, it would be in the name of company. When you sign a contract with Jawal company now, telecommunication company, this contract you sign it as a customer with the company itself, not with the shareholders. So the company can act in its own name as individual, as a person, which is equal to a human being. Okay? Separate. So liability, legal responsibility will be upon the corporation. If I invest my money, we'll look at this later on anyway. Once we look at limited liability, I will look at this point. Leave it for now. The second is transferable shares. What does it mean, share? Stocks? Yeah. Unit, money, financial unit. In each company we have shares and we have shareholders. Shareholders, the person who owns the shares. And we have such shares can be transferred from one shareholder to second. We can transfer them within the company and even outside it. Like if I was a shareholder, I can sell my shares. I can leave. I can transfer my shares to somebody else. Now these shareholders can sell their shares. They can buy more. And this will not affect the status of the corporation. The status of the corporation will be as it is, will not be affected. Company is a company, corporation is a corporation, can exist for a long time. Even if I leave, even somebody can die, somebody can sell his shares and he can buy more. The company can exist. Like if I have today 5,000 shares in my name and I want to sell them to Atidal, I can sell them. I can leave. But the shares can stay or not? Yes, the shares can stay in the company and the company will not be affected. If we say that this company has a million shares, and we have today 50 shareholders, only 50 shareholders. Now those 50 shareholders can be 20. Like the million shares can be divided between the 20. Or we can even, if it's a corporation here, we can open the door for any shareholders. Anyone can join. We can open the door and anyone can join this corporation. So shares can transfer from one to the second person and this will not affect the existence of the corporation. Number 3 is perpetual succession. Name again, your name. Your name. Ala, yeah. Perpetual succession. Yeah. From here.
Okay, perpetual succession capacity is possible, continued existence despite shareholders' death or growth.
How long somebody can live, a human being? How long? The life expectation of a human being can be 70, 80, something like this, years. How long a company can live? What's the life expectation of a company?
It doesn't depend on the life one of shareholders, not like the sole proprietorship. It's
Good.
When the son
Does not depend on a specific age. Company can live for 50 years, can live for 500 years. And this is what we call it perpetual succession, تعاقب دائم. Capacity, perpetual succession capacity. And this means this company, this corporation can exist for a long time despite the death of shareholders. And despite some shareholders can leave, can resign, can sell their shares. Companies can exist for 200-300 years, but human being who formed that company can pass away. So that company will not be affected at all by the death of the shareholders. Number 4 is limited liability. One of the most distinguished points for a company in general and corporation specifically is limited liability. And this is the point we have to focus on. Liability. It can be limited, it can be unlimited. Liability means legal responsibility, commitment. What can I do? What's my duties? Now that's liability. Now this liability can be sometimes limited, sometimes can be unlimited. You studied this subject before? Define it. Limited and unlimited.
Types of.
Okay, what does it mean, limited liability?
That's mean in the shareholders have the liability according to the number of shares.
Yes. Yeah.
And the economy.
Limited liability is concerned with shareholders, not with the company. No, the company would have the full responsibility as long as the company have its own legal personality. Then it would have its own full liability. But the shareholders would have limited liability. It means that every shareholder will be responsible, yes, but only with the amount of money you invested. If I invest £10,000, the maximum loss for me would be £10,000. If I lose, I would lose some of that amount of money, or at maximum I can lose that amount of money, £10,000. So limited here, I will not be responsible for the debt of the company. My responsibility only for my debt, not personal, but my debt which I invested. Because if I invest £5,000, mean I only care about the profit I can make as a shareholder. It's not my responsibility to look after the company. No, it's not my responsibility. If I have partnership, الشركة العادية البسيطة, in partnership we have unlimited liability. So if I lose, I can lose the amount of money I invested, and I can lose even the money I have saved in my pocket. I can use all my private money. Some people can lose even their own homes. This we have to look at it when we study bankruptcy. Bankruptcy, next chapter, inshallah. So limited liability means that shareholders will have amnesty, will be protected from any action which was committed by corporation. I don't care if the company has lost, it doesn't, or the company has committed a crime against the customers, or any criminal activities was done in the name of the company. All the shareholders can lose is the money he or she invested. Okay? We have a law. It's corporation law. How can we make a company? How can we make a corporation? Today, if I would like to make a corporation, I would have to study the law. I would have to look exactly at the law. How can we establish a corporation? We have something called corporate law. We call it sometimes corporation law or company law. We still have next two slides. We have to look at company law. Company law is a corporation law. The same. We don't have much difference between them because every corporation is a company. Every corporation is a company. Now, how can we define it? How can we define the law? Corporation law. Didi? Yeah.
The law establishing separate legal entities known as the company or corporation and governs the most relevant legal rules for firms.
Okay, 2 points. This law, as you can see, corporation law would govern. First of all, would establish the law establishing separate legal identity, separate legal entity, law itself. How can I make a company? I would have to look at the law. What documents we need? How much money do we need? The capital. How many shareholders do we need? Location, the size, shape of the company. Everything would be set in something called company law. Company's law. And at the same time, even the same law would give us idea about how to run, how to administer, how to manage, how to govern the company. So the law itself would focus on two main things: telling people how to establish corporation, how to make it, how to build it, and how to run, how to manage, how to govern such corporation. In the United Kingdom, corporation law, corporate law, is a subset of companies law. What subset? لا subset فرع, branch. So corporation law in the UK is a subset of companies law, فرع منه, جزء منه. Is that clear? Yeah. Now, even corporations is distinguished. The corporation in general is distinguished from other business entities. They're not the same like others. Like, for example, here, look at the wider spectrum. Spectrum مساحة يعني الواسع. Wider spectrum of organizational forms. They are not the same like corporation. Like, for example, such as partnership. We have to study these entities. Partnership, we have a small number of people and they have little amount of money invested and they have unlimited liability. We have even here unincorporated associations هنا بدون أسهم شركات غير مساهمة or sole proprietorship شخص واحد, one person who invests money in his own name. We have to look at all these entities and others later on, but you have to keep in mind that corporation is not the same. It's not like them. Well, we have to go back now to companies. Title of company. What's company? What does it mean, company? Now we understand specifically corporation as collection of people united in one body. Collection, as Stuart Kite said, collection of people, of individuals united in one body and separate legal entity from its own members. What company? Is it the same? Or does it have different meaning? Company. Is it the same?
It has a broad meaning.
Broad meaning, yes. Company has a broad meaning. It's not like corporation because company can include corporation and can include other entities. So if we would like to look at company, look at the word company in language. Company will not have a strict meaning. Will not have here, look, has no strict legal meaning. It's not easy to define. Because company as a word legally can carry more than one meaning. Company can mean corporation, can mean partnership. We have 4 types of partnership. It means limited liability company. It can mean limited company. It has many meanings. It has many types. So we will not be easily able to define company, but we can say it can be specifically here form of entity. It's an entity created under the laws of relevant jurisdiction. It's an entity in general. Entity كيان. But this entity can be in different shapes, types, and different responsibilities. From technical point of view, technically company, and in the United States company it says corporation. In the United States company is a corporation. Technically it means Jada.
Just refers to a legal entity which has a separate legal identity from its shareholding members, and it's ordinarily incorporated to undertake commercial business.
This definition, as you can see it's a little bit wider than the definition of corporation. Now we can say juristic person, شخص قانوني, or legal entity كيان قانوني. Juristic person, legal entity, fictitious person, the way you like it. Any definition would be fine for me, which has separate legal identity from its shareholding members. Up to this point, exactly the same what we had for corporation. Company and corporation up to this point here is the same. Here, separate legal identity from its shareholding members and is ordinarily incorporated to undertake commercial business. Here it focuses on commercial business, despite the fact company can include profit and non-profit. We see that we have in Palestine here. In Palestine we have 2 types of companies, mainly profit companies and non-profit companies. And even in England and in the United States we have the same thing, profit and non-profit companies. We have to look at them later on. And this is the way we can divide sometimes. We can classify companies into types classifications. It can be sometimes public and private. It can be profit and non-profit. One of the features for companies is limited liability and separate personality. These are 2 points, 2 advantages, 2 features in which many people nowadays go for such entity because it's easier for them. It's better than having partnership, for example. In such companies, you can have limited liability. I will not be able to think so much about the business and how can I invest, how can I get the profit, how much can I lose. I would only think about the little amount of money or the amount of money I invested, and I will be able to sleep peacefully without even thinking about the future of this entity. Because even if this entity loses the money or loses everything and it closed down or bankrupted, I will be able to invest in something else. Or maybe I will be able to get some of my money I invested in a different company. But limited liability, this is an advantage for individuals, shareholders. And at the same time, separate personality. Separate personality, this means that shareholders will not have liability, will not be responsible for any action. All the activities done by the company would be responsible for this. I invest the money only for the money, for the profit, and the company has its own name. And under that name, the company can lose, can win, can stay, can die, can survive. This is not my responsibility. And this is why companies become popular, famous, in which most people in the world involved in business forming companies. Many people find it easy for them to establish companies. And this is much easier than being individual in my name, because if I invest money in my name as a business person, and if I lose, I would lose everything. And if I have responsibility, I would have personal responsibility. So nowadays, even as you can see here, that some people, what they do, they invest the money, and they will not have the responsibility, will not have liability. And even in addition to this, these companies have extra uses, extra advantages in which people can go for such type. And these advantages will be like here, number 1, can you read it?
Companies being commercial entities are often easier to
Utilize
in financing arrangement than the partnership and individuals.
Partnership and individuals. How much money can invest here? Not much. As a partnership or as individual, we can make money, we can invest, but will not be as big as the money we can invest or utilize in companies in general. Companies, we can have many people, can have thousands of shareholders investing their money, and you can make bigger business. In addition to this, even here.
Companies have flexibility which can let them grow.
Good. Companies will not have maximum amount of money, will not have maximum shareholders. Companies can grow, can increase the amount of money they have. Like some companies can start with £500,000, some, but then after 50 years can have £50 million, £500 million. So it's possible that such companies will be able to expand their activities and extend the number of shareholders and the amount of money they invest. In addition to this, here it's no longer here. There is no legal reason why company initially formed as a sole proprietorship cannot eventually grow as publicly listed company. Some people can start in their own name as individual, sole proprietorship, one person, شخص واحد. And then later on, after many years, then he can switch. You know what switch from sole proprietorship to company, and he can have many people with him, with her, investing the money in such companies. But even even though we have such advantages in some entities like partnership, we will not be able to expand the business. We will not be able to invest more money unless we switch completely. Like, just we close it and open a new company. Like here, partnership, we have maximum number of partners. Companies do have a maximum number in general? No. In corporations, we do not have a maximum number of shareholders. We can have millions of shareholders. In partnership, we can have maximum, I guess it can be 50 partners, no more. So because we have a maximum number of shareholders, then we can have maximum amount of money we can invest. We will not be able to expand this business. We will not be able to invest more money in such business. So this is not like corporation. Okay? Fine up to now, okay? Good? I have only 2 slides, 3 slides. Oh no, it's not. Companies law. We did just a few minutes ago. I was talking about corporation law. Now we have companies law. Is it the same? Or is it not? What do you think? Hala? Or ايش اسمه? Dalia. Sorry. Just keep mixing. Yeah. Companies
law is the field of law concerning business and other organizations, including corporations and other associations, which usually carry on some form of economic or charitable activity.
Okay. Look at division here. Such companies law will focus on the establishment and the administration of the companies. How can we establish it? How can we run? How can we manage? But in this type of definition here, we have two main entities. One of them is profit, and the second one for non-profit. Yeah. Such field of law concerned with business and other organization. Business others, which is non-business. And here including corporations and other associations. Coming back to the same thing here, those here, corporation, economics or charitable. So companies, even in Palestine, as I said at the beginning, we have 2 main types of companies, profit and non-profit. And we have hundreds of non-profit companies in Palestine. And I think in Gaza Strip, I think we have more than 800 non-profit companies. 800 non-profit companies. هم يسموهم الجمعيات الأهلية اسمعوا فيهم NGOs. They are established under the term of non-profit company. So if you want to make association, organization, you have to establish it. But how can you establish it? Most likely, under the title of non-profit company. Then you don't have the intention to make the money, but at the same time, we do have some, even most companies are making money, making a profit. Now, this is one way. The second way, we'll look at the size. Largest companies, in size, the largest companies usually are listed on the stock exchange. Small companies would be small, like small shareholders, small amount of money. There is no need to list them on the stock exchange. What do we mean by when we say that stock exchange? What does it mean to list a company on the stock exchange? Companies can be public, can be private, can be profit, can be non-profit. Public are listed on the stock exchange market. What does that mean? Hani, did you hear about the stock exchange? سوق البورصة سمعتوا فيه؟ How many companies we have in Palestine are listed on the stock exchange market? Are they?
I think 59 or 57.
I don't think so. I think less than this. I think last year somebody was saying. No, I'm talking about the listed on the stock exchange. Something like this, yes. It might be 37 companies only listed on the stock exchange. Those are the largest in size, who invest money in which people can buy, can sell. You can buy shares in any company of those. Those open the door for anyone. You can join them, anyone can leave, you can buy, you can sell shares at any minute you like. But private companies choose shareholders, private companies. And those private companies most likely will have a small amount of money invested with few people, and most likely will be from the same family. From the same family, from the same friends. Like people know each other, like you have friends, 5, 6 people, and you trust each other, and you invest money together. This is a private. But the first one here, largest in size, those are public. And the second one, private. We will look at this later on. Anyway, the most prominent kind, the most famous kind of company is called corporation. The famous, the most prominent أكثر شيء مشهور in company, it's called corporation. We do have some features for such corporations, in which here defining features. Some of them, the voting system. Imagine company have 10,000 shareholders. 10,000 shareholders. Who can manage it? We have 10,000 people. At Islamic University here, we have 22,000 students, males and females. 22,000 students. Who can manage? Who can take the lead? What do we have? How can we select? Voting system. Election. We have election. في انتخابات ولا لا? We have voting system. We can appoint directors who control the company by the voting system. Who gets the highest votes can lead, can take the lead, and can manage such companies. And this is the best way, because those people are trusted, appointed, not appointed, but are selected even. They are elected by the community.
So any shareholder can be elected?
Well, it depends on the conditions. Because some of them would say that you have the minimum amount of money. Like, they say that if I have 10 shares, 50 shares, will I be able to elect myself? I don't think so. Each company would have a specific election system. It tells you exactly how can you elect yourself. Like, it might be sometimes minimum money you invested £50,000 or £20,000 or £1 million to be able to elect yourself. It depends, I think, in each company, in its bylaw, internal system will define exactly how much money we need to be able to elect ourselves. And what do you think in the election system? How many votes we have? I can have votes more than you, or maybe you can have votes more than me. It depends on the money we invested. If I invest £1 million and you invested £50,000, am I going to have the same votes like her? Of course not. Of course not. Like, we have units. These units, each amount of money, it's called a unit. Let's say each £10,000 can be vote. Maybe, as I said, that this can be established in the bylaw from the beginning once we establish the company. The features, the best feature, the most prominent for company is limited liability. Limited liability. So many people now, they would love to limit their liability, because you don't want to take the risk. You want to minimize the risk. How can you minimize it? By having limited liability. Even partnership in the United States nowadays, we have four types of partnership. Some of them have limited liability, and others have unlimited liability. We will look at that one by one once we get to that point. And even here, partnership can limit liability. Partners may limit their liability for company loss by law. We have the option. You can go to the system which allow you to take such option. And even can you believe it, that even some places like sole proprietorship, sole traders, مالك الوحيد شخص تاجر, can limit his or her liability. This is, for me, is not practical, but honestly this is happening. Some places like the state saying that if you are a sole trader, I want to limit my liability, you can limit it. You can limit your liability as sole trader, incorporate themselves and limit their liability in order to carry on a business. You're going to see later on that we have a type of company, a limited company, in which this company can be established only by one person. Company معناها بالعربي مجموعة أصلا. Company. See, my company, somebody in my company, يعني شريكة أو زميلة وكذا. But even company here, despite the fact it means that meaning collection of people, many people, even though sometimes some places they have option in which one person can what? Incorporate themselves and limit their liability in order to carry a business. Now each type would be identified by the system. Like in Palestine we have few types of companies. In Egypt they don't have the same. In most countries we will study the same type of companies, limited and unlimited, partnership and corporation. Even in the United States they have more than one type of corporation. In Palestine we have only one type. Partnership, only one partnership. But in the United States we have 4 types. We'll look at them one by one once we get to that point. I think this is the last slide. Take it for today. Last slide. Oh, no, the last slide. It's easy. This is an easy slide. In the United States companies law. In the United States we have 51 or 52 states. 51? Yeah, 51 states. Okay. 52? 51 states. 52 states, whatever. In the United States, each state, by the way, each state has its own law. Each state. We cannot see that one commercial law, no company's law in all states. I mean, it's not at the federal level, at a state level. Company's law will not be incorporated at the federal level. It will be made at the state level. Each state, California, New York, Washington, whatever state, each one will have its own law. Now, corporate law, can you read it here?
Corporate law governs that corporations' internal authority, even if the corporation's operations take place outside of the
perfect.
state.
Corporate law will govern corporations' internal authority, even though if this corporation function outside the state, if this company was established in California and would make some activities in New York, now this company would abide, of course, in its own internal system. Even here, internal system would abide by the same law of its own establishment, even though it was established in one state and was acting in another state outside the state. It will keep using the same law for its own internal system. But in all cases, sometimes it has to amend. It has to amend in the outlook, on the shape, on the size. Would have to amend its own performance to be able to function in accordance with the new state, with the new state. So, because corporate law can be different, various states, and not the same. From one state to another, we have to look at the significance and the advantage. We'll look at this later on once we look again at corporations, in which we see that some states, they have tax-free. Which tax? Other states will have low tax. Others, they have high tax. So people can look for the best. It depends each state what they need exactly. Like in England, for example, in Britain, in the UK, in some island, Isle of Man, Isle of Wight, those isles, في جزر, they do not pay tax. If you have your own business in those isles, no tax. It's free. But if you have your own business in London, the tax would be higher. So the best way to be able to function like this, you would need a lawyer. You need somebody. In the UK, they call them solicitors, and they will choose the best type of companies. Because now, if we would like now, imagine that we want to make a business. We cannot know exactly what to choose. Okay, we want to make a company. What company? What type of companies? Private or public? Small or large? Profit, non-profit? How many shareholders? How much money? Is it going to be in Gaza City or in the north or the south? Will it be only working in Gaza, or can it function outside in Egypt or other countries? So we have to look at the needs, what we need to do, and we have to look at the available forms and types in Palestine, and then we can match what we have in our minds, what the objectives, and what we have available of types of such companies, and then we can make it. Okay, thanks very much for your time, and I'll see you Tuesday. Thank you.